D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game. Gang's all here. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you live in studio. The Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie flew in from St. Louis at 3 a.m. last night. Boy, are his arms tired.
Just to be on the show.
Just to be on the show.
It's all good. It's all good.
But the Predators,
You win,
they're rolling.
you feel good.
Yes,
You
the
can deal
Predators.
with a little travel issue, but that's okay. No problem.
The Predators are rolling. Winners of 7 of their past 10. Predators GM Barry Trotz will join us at 5 o'clock for his weekly chat. Trevor Maddich, ESPN analyst, will join us during the 4 o'clock hour. We also have yet another pair of tickets to the Music City Bowl to give away during the show. I will soon let you know exactly when we will be giving away those tickets. We do have a trivia question associated with these Music City Bowl tickets. So if you missed out on them yesterday, you can try to win those tickets again today. A pair of tickets to the Music City Bowl, Tennessee versus Illinois at Nissan Stadium on Tuesday, December 30th. But let's start the show with the team that usually plays at Nissan Stadium, the Tennessee Titans. And if you go to the standings page on your preferred website, NFL.com, ESPN.com, you can start to see that the NFL playoff picture is taking shape with 3 weeks left in the season. And when you look at the projected seeds, guys, there are a lot of unfamiliar teams, at least unfamiliar in recent years. The Denver Broncos are in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed in the AFC. The New England Patriots, who won 4 games last season and lost to the Titans last season, are right behind the Broncos at number 2 with an 11-3 record. In the NFC, the Chicago Bears, who won 5 games last season, are the number 2 seed in the conference and leading the NFC North. And what do these 3 teams have in common? Meaning the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Bears. It wasn't long ago that they were all bottom feeders, just like the Titans are right now. And those teams went out and found coaches in Sean Payton, Denver, Mike Vrabel, New England, and Ben Johnson, Chicago, who helped engineer those turnarounds. But is it as simple as that? And how replicable are those teams' turnarounds? That is what we are going to discuss to start the show. Is a Titans turnaround as simple as hiring the right coach? Mike Herndon of PaulKaharski.com posted this the other day. The Broncos, Bears, and Patriots seasons should be pretty inspirational for Titans fans. Those teams were where the Titans are now very recently. They went out and hired good coaches and have turned things around very quickly. It doesn't have to be a 4 to 5 year thing. So let's start by asking the question this way, Derek.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the Titans coaching hire, how much influence do you think that can realistically have on turning this franchise around?
I mean, the NFL has already told you. It means a lot. Look at Denver and where they were. They had to basically take majority of a contract and hold it. They were left because they cut or traded. What did they do? Trade a cut on Russell Wilson. They were on the hook for what, $70 million, somewhere around there. So this team gave up draft picks. They had to continue to pay a quarterback that was no longer on their team. They were in a hole because he was no longer on their team. So they had to, take on the dead money.
$85 million.
And in a matter of 2 years after going to get Sean Payton, and listen, I'm not a big fan of Sean Payton. Just not.
Why is that?
He rubbed the whole thing he did with the last coach when they left out of there.
Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
I mean, Nathaniel Hackett wasn't a bad coach, but that's a fraternity. And you don't go at somebody the way he did. And then the way they went at it with, the way they went about things with Russell Wilson, making it seem like it was all his doing or his fault. But anyway, in a matter of 2 years, he's gotten that team with the number 1 seed, I believe they have right now.
Yeah. Yes, at 12-2.
The number 1 seed. So when the question is asked, is it as simple as hiring the right guy? Probably not, but in Denver's situation, in Chicago's situation, and in New England's situation, what did they do? Basically, change the head coach and got them a quarterback. And look where those three teams are at right now.
The quarterback piece is big. It's the coach and the quarterback. I would say it's a little more complex. It's not as simple as that tweet, because the Broncos they've got it wrong a few times, right? From the time they won the Super Bowl 10 years ago, they had not made the playoffs since, until last year. They snuck in there, and now they're really good. Man, they're playing well right now. They are fun to watch. They're entertaining. Every game's close. They're finding ways to win all the close games. I don't know if they're a dominant team, but they've got something going for sure. But like Vance Joseph, he was a failed head coach. He's now the defensive coordinator. He might get another job out of this. So I think there was a lot of building involved. They drafted the right quarterback with the right coach. And so I think it's a great question to debate. I just don't know if it's as simple as that.
Denver was 5-12 right before Sean Payton arrived. The Broncos have gone 8-9, 10-7, and now are 12-2 under Sean Payton. By the way, Willie, to answer your question, the Broncos are 12-2. They are 10-2 in close games. So they are winning by razor-thin margins. Their average margin of victory is 7 points, basically. So good for them. The Broncos have an elite defense. But there are a lot of factors that go into a turnaround. You touched on a big one, which we will touch on, the quarterback. But first, let's go to Chad on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Chad, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, loving the show. The thing that kind of is curious is there's a little bit of a delay. I don't know if y'all have heard that one, but Sean Payton, you left out the big key right there with Sean Payton. He was suspended for an entire season for the bounty gate on Brett Favre in the NFC Championship game. He literally was convicted of paying his players and supporting Greg Williams' bounty gate, where any shot on Brett Favre had certain dollar figures on it, which is barbaric. I mean, say what you want about Brett Favre, but look at the health problems he has now, and you can trace some of it back to a lot of things, of course. But Sean Payton, you left out the biggest thing right there. He's suspended for an entire season. That's what kind of guy that is. So I'm with you. I'm not a fan.
Thank you for the call, Chad.
Not a fan is one thing, but
that was more than 10 years ago as well.
He is a good coach. He was suspended, but the Saints took him back. That's how much they thought of that. You know, it was, and I'm not saying that was a big thing.
It was.
We all remember that
at the time.
But I don't think there's any doubt he is a very good coach, and he selected the right quarterback, and he has a good defense. You start piecing these things together, you got a chance. It's so fleeting in the NFL. There are good coaches that they get the wrong quarterback, and now they're in trouble. So Sean Payton, what's he always had? He had Drew Brees for all those years. Now he's got Bo Nix, who's pretty good, and he's making something of it.
Let's go to our friend Mark in Nashville on our phone line. Mark, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
How you doing, Adam, Willie, D-Mate?
We're good.
What's going on, Mark?
Doing today?
We're good.
Doing good.
Okay. Yeah, let me get that out the way. I'll get to you later, Willie. Adam, y'all were talking about things in common with these coaches. Well, if you remember, I was trying to get that in yesterday. Drake May struggled his first year as a rookie. But lo and behold, he got Josh McDaniels and Mike Vrabel in there. Mike Vrabel made an excellent pick, bringing in Josh McDaniels, Super Bowl winning OC, to get Drake May to the point he's at now in the MVP conversation. Ben Johnson comes in and gets Caleb Williams. Look what he's done with Caleb Williams. But Chicago had good players around anyway with DJ Moore and some other guys on that roster. So they were good anyway. All they just needed was a coach to get them over the top. And I'm not a big fan, D-Mace, of Sean Payton either. Good coach, but just something about him I don't really like. I understand that. But he is a good coach. But the Titans, why I say this all the time, it's imperative they get a offensive guy in there to get Cam where he needs to go to. The only difference with Cam doesn't have the good playmakers around him on that roster right now. The receivers they got, they are young. They will learn. They will get better. But that's the big difference with Cam. He's got to get some more playmakers, some more guys in there to get them over the top. And like I said yesterday, I think Cam will be okay. But Willie, before I go, I wanted to make a correction about something I said to you the other day. I wasn't taking a dig at you. I was taking a dig at your Met because it's just something I love. That's just something I love doing, Willie. I mean,
hey,
it's
you take a dig at the Mets, you're digging at me. You want to get to the Mets, you got to go through me, Mark. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know, Willie. I know. But no, Willie, I got utmost respect for all y'all.
Look, we got problems. We got problems. The Mets have problems, Mark.
Thank you for the call, Mark.
You don't have to tell me.
But it's also a good thing that the Titans aren't trying to hire Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Derek doesn't quite like.
But would you take him? Would you take him? Like, that's the thing. Would you hire the for lack of a better term, the jerk coach? Is Mike Vrabel on some days can be the jerk coach.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. But he can run the program. The Patriots are really fascinating to me in this discussion too, because the quarterback is playing well. We have to realize that the Patriots have benefited from an extremely favorable schedule.
Perhaps the most favorable.
The most favorable. I don't think it's debatable.
I believe they have the easiest strength of schedule.
So the playoffs are going to tell us a lot about where they are.
I saw what happened last week against the Bills.
I still think that they are overachieving it. A lot of that does have to do with Mike Vrabel's ability to build a culture. And I think Peyton, there's certain guys that can rise above the pack and are good at that. And that's why I think the number one trait of the next coach is not the offensive whiz or the defensive whiz. It's who can build the culture.
One texter, Julian, says, is the ownership of those three teams as jacked up as ours is?
I'm not sure. I don't know the ownership structure.
Well, we know about Robert Kraft.
Yes.
And there's a word in there in your text that I'm not going to repeat that might have something to do with Robert Kraft. But I'm sorry, I'm being juvenile here. Read between the lines, guys. I don't know enough about the Broncos and Bears ownership groups or owners to really have an opinion on that. But of course, ownership does play a role in this as well. We know that because the owner has to be on board with the new coach. And we've seen Amy Adams Strunk and company in recent years make some quizzical hiring decisions. So I understand Titans fans who are concerned about ownership's role in hiring the new coach. But the quarterback, look, there's another team we can throw into here that wasn't mentioned. You know, they're also a playoff team. The Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars have gone from 4-13 to 10-4 under Liam Cohen. And Trevor Lawrence, as of late, has looked incredible. I think 3 of his best performances have been in the past 3 weeks statistically. So is Trevor Lawrence finally getting a hold on what Liam Cohen wants to do? Was Liam Cohen the key to Trevor Lawrence all along after Doug Peterson and the ill-fated Urban Meyer decision? So there are multiple teams who were in the Titans' shoes just even a season ago that have completely turned things around. But I'm wondering how replicable it is.
I think it can be done because you look at these 3 situations. And the most important, I think, relationship in every situation here is the quarterback and the head coach / play caller, or the quarterback and the offensive coordinator. Just look at each and every one of these teams. You got Denver, Bo Nix. Obviously, Sean Payton is the head coach in OC. I'm sure that relationship is a relationship where, you know, Bo Nix can grow and he can get, or he has gotten, you know, the best out of Bo Nix at this point, and he will continue to get better under Sean Payton because they both are on the same page. You look at New England and Josh Daniels. Josh Daniels, he may not be a good head coach, but he's a hell of a play caller. And he's got that relationship with Drake May that seems to be profitable, that seems to have Drake May even growing faster this season that he did last season as far as developing. And then you go to Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. They wrote off Caleb Williams last year. They were writing him off, busting everything else. Lo and behold, here comes Ben Johnson. And that relationship that they forged has been beneficial for Caleb Williams. He's become a much better quarterback. Is he a finished product? More than likely not, but he's become a better quarterback. But each and every one of these situations, it's the relationship between the quarterback and the head coach / play caller.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Is a Titans turnaround as simple as hiring the right coach? We've seen the Broncos turn it around quickly. The Bears, the Patriots, the Jaguars recently made coaching changes, and those teams have skyrocketed from the bottom of the standings to the AFC and NFC playoff picture. 615-737-1025. We'll continue the conversation and take your reaction coming up next. But in the meantime, it's bowl season, and the Game Nashville Sports Network is your home for college football bowl games and the college football playoff, presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Today on Sports Talk 830, Troy takes on Jax State at 8 p.m. in the Veterans Bowl. For a list of games carried on the Game Nashville Sports Network, visit thegamenashville.com/bowl games.
Yeah, I think we're ready. I think we've played teams that have a bunch of wins. We play teams that don't. We've played close games. We played games where we've beaten teams by a lot. We've played, teams where we had to win with special teams, offense, defense, whatever case, running ball, whatever case. And so I feel that we're ready for just about anything, hot weather, cold weather, whatever the case may be. We're gonna go out there and go out there and fight. I do know that, and I like our chances, us versus anybody.
That was Caleb Williams recently. The Bears are killing it this season. 10-4 after going 5-12 last season. They made what looks to be a great coaching hire in Ben Johnson, the former Lions offensive coordinator. And we're wondering here if the Titans can engineer a similar turnaround simply by hiring the right coach.
I don't think the Bears belong in this category.
Okay.
Because, first of all, the Bears, and I would put the Bears and the Jags in the same category.
Mm-hmm.
They should be winning eventually. They pick high every year. The Titans are still relatively new to the top of the draft. They've got some building to do. The Bears are behind schedule. And even so, I do think they've made a good hire. This coach is good. But here's a couple of things about the Bears. They beat the Ravens in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson wasn't there. It was, what's his nickname?
Pro Bowler. Tyler Snoop Huntley.
Snoop Huntley. Snoop Huntley. They
Pro Bowler.
They beat the Bengals in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Who was their quarterback? It wasn't Joe Burrow. It was Joe Flacco. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big win. Who was their quarterback?
Mason Rudolph?
Mason Rudolph was the quarterback. So they've caught some breaks, okay? And they're improved, but they should be winning. They've been picking high for a long time.
Well, wouldn't you put the Patriots in that category as well? Don't they have the easiest schedule in the league?
I would. And so I think both things can be true. I think it's the right coach, right team, but it's a razor's edge. And these teams have struggled for a long time. Patriots, that's why I wouldn't put the Patriots there. But the Jags and the Bears are struggling franchises. The Broncos struggled for a good while before they turned it around. Do they have the right coach? Yes. But you got to have the right players as well. And you have to have some things fall your way.
So you think, Willie, that the Broncos are the most stable of these teams we're discussing? The realist, for lack of a better term?
As stable as you can be in this league, because I do think Nix was just a great pick. He's a low first-round pick that has been really good, and you couple that with a very good defense and a very good coach, and you're seeing success. But you mentioned how often they're winning the close games. Mike Vrabel went on a run there. Remember a few years ago, D-Mace, where they couldn't lose a close game. Then all of a sudden it turned. It does turn on you sometimes.
Yeah, it does. And listen, the most important thing, like I said, is the quarterback and offensive coordinator / head coach relationship. Now, in each one of these situations, each team had talent. How much talent? I mean, it can vary across the board. But I think if you're looking at it, possibly the Chicago Bears were the most talented team. If you're talking offense, with the playmakers that they had that was already on the team prior to, Ben Johnson getting there. Yes, you have to have players, but I think that coach is the guy that can sort of ignite those players. We saw it with Mike Vrabel here. You're seeing it now with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams was a good talent, amazing talent coming out of college. But for some reason, he couldn't make that jump that first year. Then you bring in Ben Johnson, all of a sudden, now he looks like the Caleb Williams that we thought he was going to be coming out of college. It's the same thing with Trevor Lawrence. It took Trevor a minute, but it seems like they got the perfect guy matched up with him, and now he's unlocked, that thing within him. You look at Peyton and Bo Nix. That relationship, him being able to unlock and that coaching staff developing those other players around him. Because you can have good players. If you don't have the right people developing them, you're not going to get anything out of it. And I think that's where the Titans are at this point. They have guys, I believe, young guys, that if you develop them the right way, they can be players for this team. But the key word is developing them.
Bo Nix is the quarterback who stands out to me as we are talking about these teams that have undergone these turnarounds. Think about the quarterbacks we're discussing. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, Bo Nix, and we're going to throw Cam Ward in there because he's the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. And I'm reminded of an article we referenced so many times leading into the NFL draft from Matt Miller of ESPN.com. He, with the help of league people, ranked the top quarterback prospects between 2020 and 2025 based on their pre-draft grades, basically. Let me tell you where the quarterbacks we're discussing fell on that list. Caleb Williams, number 1. Trevor Lawrence, number 2. Drake May, number 5. Bo Nix, number 17. Cam Ward, number 18, by the way, out of 21. So Bo Nix directly in front of Cam Ward. And Derek, you know this from personal experience. What is a young quarterback's best friend?
An offensive line or running back or a tight end?
On the other side of the ball.
Defense, yes. I thought you were talking about an offense.
I'm sorry.
An elite defense.
An elite defense,
Yes.
which the Denver Broncos have.
Absolutely.
They have an elite defense. Your Ravens, with Joe Flacco as a rookie, had an elite defense.
Mm-hmm.
That helps. But I'm wondering about Bo Nix and how Sean Payton has been able to get the most out of him. By all accounts, Nix's performance this past weekend was the best of his NFL career. But, Derek, we talked about this last week when we were discussing Cam Ward's inaccuracy. And you were talking about how Sean Payton and the Broncos did the right things with Bo Nix. It was a lot of schemed up yardage for Bo Nix last season. That was your point, and we can reiterate that. So the Titans do not have an elite defense, but I'm wondering if the next coach can maybe take something out of the Broncos playbook in helping to develop Cam Ward, because Nix, where was he drafted? 11th, 10th, 11th, 12th, in that range? I remember a lot of people being bewildered by that selection. Like, Bo Nix, he's a good quarterback. I'm not sure he was a first-round talent, and I think he's proven a lot of people wrong. Now, Cam Ward was the number 1 overall pick. But I'm wondering, Derek, if there are elements of how Sean Payton has developed Bo Nix that the next Titans coach can use to develop Cam Ward.
I think there is. First, and you spelled it out, if you can, get you a defense that's not going to give up plus 20 points. Because if you have a defense that's giving up plus 20 points, you're not going to win many games unless your offense is just the top offense in the National Football League or a top 10 offense. So first and foremost, yes, I think it can be duplicated, but how long would it take? And meaning on the defensive side of the ball, how long will it take? Will it take only next season, or will it take the season after that? So that would help Cam. But what Denver did is they took their offense and they made sure that Bo Nix got the ball out of his hand quickly, that he had a lot of quick reads, moving him around in the pocket, doing things that were to his strength. Coaches have said
using him as a runner.
Exactly. Coaches say, Bill Belichick, don't tell me what he can't do. Tell me what he can do, and let's do that. Let's do more and more of it. That's what Sean Payton is doing with Bo Nix. He's found the things that Bo Nix does well. Let's do that first. Let's hone in on that and then allow him to mature, work from that out. I talked about Cam last week. For some reason, they wanted to work top to bottom. They wanted to start throwing the ball deep and then all of a sudden try. No, with Cam, a rookie quarterback without that much talent, can we work from the 5, the 7, the 10, and then up to the 30 or 40-yard passes? That seems to be helping Cam now. That helps Bo Nix. They're not looking to throw the ball down the field all the time. No, they're gonna hit you with these crosses, these outs, these intermediate routes, and then boom, we're gonna hit you over the top. But I'm getting my quarterback in sync with the offense. I'm doing the things that he's best at. Willie said it, running the football. Add that to his repertoire. You start to see Cam starting to do that more. Now they need a coach that come in here and sort of unlocks all of that, but in a way that it helps Cam and not hurt him.
One thing that makes Bo Nix unique, Willie, is the fact that he is on the run on a lot of his dropbacks. And I said this yesterday after you left the show. Cam Ward's superpower, for lack of a better word, looks like it's going to be his ability to scramble. His touchdown to Jeffrey Simmons on Sunday. Other examples of him making really impressive throws after having to scramble. I'm wondering and sort of hoping that the next Titans coach, as I just said, can take a page out of the Sean Payton Bo Nix playbook and get Cam Ward throwing on the run a little bit more.
That's a really good question, because I watched the Broncos last week. That's the game. That's the game I got on Sunday. I was in St. Louis. And the other game was the Lions game, which was a pretty good game. The Rams were really good. But I just really think that the design of the offense is a great fix, great fit for Bo Nix. It's the designed rollouts. He throws very comfortably on the run. He was really sharp, and he can run to keep you honest. I don't know. They have better personnel than the Titans do.
Yes.
Quite a bit better. But, it's not blow you away. RJ Harvey's a rookie. Cortland Sutton is a nice player. I don't think we would consider him one of the best wide receivers in the game, but he's good. He's better than what the Titans have. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if Ward is as fluid throwing on the run. I want to see more of that. But it's really not the design of the offense. So it does go back to the central question you've asked, and I think it's a good one. The fit between the quarterback and the head coach is very important. And if your head coach isn't offensive guru kind of guy, that head coach has to understand who the right hire is to run the offense to fit the skill set of his quarterback.
And a lot of people want, I would say, well, a lot might be a stretch, but I'm going to use it anyway. A lot of people seem to want, there you go. A lot of people seem to want the Tennessee Titans to hire an offensive guru. We've heard Clint Kubiak, for example, the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. Someone called in last week and mentioned Bobby Slowick, the former Texans offensive coordinator, who is now working as a passing coordinator, I believe, with the Miami Dolphins, who, by the way, might be making a quarterback change. But we look at the types of coaches that have been engineering these turnarounds. I mean, Ben Johnson has an offensive background. Liam Cohen has an offensive background. Mike Vrabel certainly does it. Now he has Josh McDaniels, and that's part of the calculus. Would we feel better, or does it even matter if the next head coach is offensive-minded, or would it be better to have a defensive-minded coach with an offensive coordinator who can develop that relationship with Cam Ward?
To me, it really... If he is the play caller, meaning the head coach, I think he does have to be, and Willie said this weeks ago, what he wanted in a head coach, and it was right. Like a leader of men, someone that can come in and command and demand and change the culture within his team. Listen, it can be an offensive-minded guy. It could be a defensive-minded guy. It doesn't matter to me. I just need someone that's going to shift and move the culture or the needle inside of that locker room. Because right now, there's no needle. It seemed to be no culture. And I'm not saying it's like it's bad and they're just running amok. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is they've lost that identity. The Titans have lost their identity that they once had. And they need somebody that can help get it back. And if that guy turns out to be an offensive-minded guy, great. If he turns out to be a defensive-minded guy, great. It doesn't matter to me. He has to understand and know that when he walks in his locker room, he has to demand respect. He has to come in here and he has to change the culture of this locker room and get it and have them form an identity. Because right now, those two things they don't have. The culture is not there the way it needs to be. Jeffrey even said that. And They just need to continue to build on what they once had. Now, how do they get that back? I don't know, but it starts with hiring the right head coach to set all of that in motion.
And here's the brain teaser for you as we go to the break. Wouldn't we have said this last year about Washington? Well, hey, they signed the right coach, Dan Quinn. He's a head coach. He's got that culture building thing, and they've got the right quarterback in Jaden Daniels. They had a great year last year. They're 4-10 this year. Now, before you say, well, because Jaden Daniels is hurt, they're 2-5 with Marcus Mariota starting, and they're 2-5 with Jaden Daniels starting. So it's not just that Jaden Daniels is hurt. So it's a razor's edge. You can have it, you think you've got it, and then poof, it's gone. One of these teams we're talking about this year, they're going to have a season like Washington's having next year. I guarantee it. That's just how this league works.
615-737-1025. We will take your reaction. Is a Titans turnaround as simple as hiring the right coach? And who would you hire to help the Titans turn things around? 615-737-1025. Remember, we do have Music City Bowl tickets to give away. We will be doing so in the 4 o'clock hour, but I'm not going to tell you when, so you need to be listening for me to tell you when. But we are going to do it in the 4 o'clock hour. 615-737-1025. Speaking of things to win, tomorrow between noon and 3, Chase and Big Joe will have your chance to win a $100 Moments Peace Salon and Day Spa gift card. And you can also qualify to win a $1,000 Genesis Diamonds gift card. It's the 12 Days of Christmas on 1025 The Game.
Everyone. Okay.
It's it's become a negative thing. I don't know why, because the best quarterbacks of all time manage the game at a high level. I think the biggest difference is when the time comes down to it, they just find ways to make either an explosive or make another play. So, all the good ones, all the great ones that win, they manage the game at a high level. Now, some are just more flashy, and I think they don't have that, that context or that tag. But it really doesn't matter because, your job as a quarterback, execute the play that's called, get your team in the end zone, and at the end of the day, have more points than the other team and find a way to win. And that's what we're managing to do.
That was Bo Nix addressing the game manager label, which I think
five,
Mhm.
89.7 with his passer rating, which is 18th in the league, 59.1 QBR, which is good, but not great. But the offense, all they need to do is be good because they have a great defense. So it works hand in hand. What's the term that Mike Vrabel uses all the time? Complementary football.
Mhm.
let's go to Rob on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com. Rob, thank you for waiting. Go ahead.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. I mean, just listening to you guys. You guys are being very, very nice about Cam. To me, he was a first round draft pick, and I mean, really, don't nobody expect him to come in and just save the world. But this guy, to me, I mean, we don't seen enough. The fans have seen enough. I can speak for most of us, have seen enough. This guy is just not showing it. I mean, you take the way he throws the ball. He does not. And again, I'm not no guy that don't play football. I don't play football, but not professionally. But you know, he does not. To me, he don't give the receivers enough time, or it's all off sync. You be asking yourself, where is this guy? I mean, what is he thinking? Is he even thinking about the timing that he's throwing the ball, or is he just trying to get rid of the ball because he don't want to get hit? And to me, when a guy is throwing, I was told when a guy is throwing and trying to run, I mean, there are certain ways, I mean, certain times he do that because he don't want to throw against his body or something, I think. And then the other thing I want to point out is, you know, it all starts up in the front office up there. I mean, they can make all these, you know, changes out here, getting quarterbacks and all that. They got to have somebody in there that knows how to draft. If you don't have nobody that knows how to draft, what do you get? To keep on getting the same old, same old. Then I'm going to make this last point here. You know, whenever a company out here, if you're in the real world out here, when they start to have these issues or these problems, what do they do to fix the problem? They start right up at the top. So then, you know, they get the problem fixed. You cannot solve your problems if you're trying to work them from the way they work.
Thank you for the call, Rob. We appreciate the call. A lot to digest there from Rob. But again, it speaks to the, what's the word I'm looking for here? The doubt in Cam Ward, the impatience with Cam Ward. Number one overall picks can be quite polarizing because not every number one overall pick is going to be what we all think of when we think of a number one overall pick. And I said this yesterday regarding Cam Ward, and I will reiterate it here. Barring something unforeseen, your opinion of Cam Ward is not going to change over the next 3 weeks. The Titans have 3 games left, starting Sunday against the Chiefs at Nissan Stadium. Unless Cam Ward has 3 consecutive 400-yard games, those of you who do not like Cam Ward are going to go into the offseason disliking Cam Ward. On the other hand, if you believe that Cam Ward and his struggles this season are a product of his environment, you are still going to think that during the offseason. So ultimately, I'm hoping, frankly, I'm sort of hoping for him to have one big game. I know I talked about this yesterday.
But I think, I think what the caller is pointing out is what I feel like we're moving towards. If he makes an explosion and becomes a dominant quarterback, I will be surprised. I just don't think we're seeing a Josh Allen, a Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. I don't know that he can get
to be those guys.
Okay, and that's where I'm going, because we've had a good conversation about Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I don't think is that guy either. But they're playing to his strengths. They have good pieces around him, and they're winning a lot of games. I think that's the formula if we're being realistic. And it will always be a little disappointing because, like, hey, he's the first pick in the draft.
Right.
I think we have to get over that. And I think you have to hope that you have a winning quarterback in the right system, which makes it more of a priority to, as the caller said, draft well, get good players. You got to have that, and right offensive guy to fit Cam's skill set.
Well, Derek, that clip we played coming back from break of Bo Nix, he was asked a question in the news conference about the label game manager and how he feels about being labeled a game manager. And you heard his response. He said the best quarterbacks in the league manage the game well.
Yeah, they all do.
But game manager is often used as an insult toward a quarterback. Like, oh, the team around him won. He's just a game manager. The problem is if Cam Ward develops into a Bo Nix-like quarterback and is considered a game manager, people are going to be pissed because you don't draft game managers. I'm using air quotes here, which you can't see unless you're watching the stream. People don't want the number 1 overall pick to be a game manager. But as Willie said, perhaps that's what Cam Ward ultimately will be. That doesn't mean the Titans can't be successful if he's like that. And Bo Nix, in my opinion at least, is an example of that.
Listen, we've all done it and are guilty of it. We've attached this moniker of game manager as being something bad, as being, oh, you just don't have the talent, but you're out there and it's really the people around you. Every quarterback will tell you, the great ones and the not so great ones. If you can't manage the game, you ain't going to even get an opportunity to be a great quarterback in this league. Every quarterback, and listen, people, every quarterback is tasked to manage the game. But if you want to be great, you need to win some of those games. You need to take it from being just a manager, and when that moment shows up, the greatest thing about Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Drew Brees ain't the stats. I can't give a damn about the stats. It's that they showed up in the moments they need to show up. They managed the game, the whole game, in that one moment. That's what separates the great ones from the good ones. There are moments within the game that great player, he elevates it, or that great player makes that play. But beyond that, he's just been a game manager. He finds the right spot to throw the football. He dissects the defense. He sees where the weak spot is, and he throws it there. That's what the elite ones do. And when they need to turn it up a little bit more in those crucial situations, they do. Cam is not there yet, people. Trevor Lawrence was drafted first overall. He wasn't there yet. He's just that's who we need to be comparing him to.
Who's that?
Trevor Lawrence, not from the fact of the talent. I'm not talking, but both of those guys were number 1 picks in the draft. And they were getting ready to run Trevor Lawrence out of there too. They talked all, and now all of a sudden, now something's been unlocked in him. But it took a few years. He had some ups and downs. It took some injuries. It took a few years. Now he's closer to a finished product than not. Why can't we give Cam that same grace? We talked about the organization being impatient. I'm using air quotes. Impatient. Y'all impatient. Y'all are impatient with a rookie. Think about this. Listen to me very closely. Y'all are impatient with a rookie quarterback with not much talent around him. Just think about that, people. Think about that. Just sit down, like realistically, take your emotions out of it. Think about that as we go to break.
615-737-1025. We'll hear what Derek has to say on the other side of the break. Also on the other side of the break, I will tell you when you can win tickets to the Music City Bowl. We have a pair of tickets to give away. I will reveal the timing of the giveaway coming up next. 615-737-1025. Let me tell all the fine folks out there that we are sponsored by Bags Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate now at baxhomeworks.com. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Trevor Maddich will join us in roughly 20 minutes. We also have a pair of tickets to the Music City Bowl to give away. We will be doing so immediately following Trevor Maddich. So if you want Music City Bowl tickets, we have a pair of them. We're giving away a pair every day. If you want a pair of Music City Bowl tickets, be listening this hour immediately following our interview with Trevor Maddich. I will give out the cue to call, which comes with a trivia question this time because I like a good brain teaser. But let's continue our conversation about what we were talking about. Is a Titans turnaround as simple as hiring the right coach? But of course, that has evolved or maybe devolved into a conversation about Cam Ward. And Derek, I know that you have a lot to get off your chest.
No, it's because I want to, people to understand. I get people wanting to see the numbers. I understand that because what's the easiest way to convince somebody is to show them the numbers. And if the numbers are, satisfactory, then everybody feels pretty good. If Cam's numbers are a little bit better, even if they're not winning, I think people are feeling good about, the situation that they're in. But in this situation, at the beginning of the season, even once they drafted Cam and right before the season started, it was this. Everybody was wondering, are they going to be patient with the quarterback? Are they going to be patient with the head coach too? We saw they were not patient with the head coach. They got rid of him very quickly. But are they going to be patient with the quarterback? Are they going to be able to develop the quarterback? They need to be patient. They need to get the right person in here. Has the right person been in here? No. They fired him. They fired who they thought was the right person. Now they're dealing with a guy that is basically a lame duck. He's not going to be here next year. So you have all this stuff working against Cam. And Cam, again, he needs to play better. But you're asking a rookie quarterback to overcome something that I've seen veteran quarterbacks not be able to overcome. Talent and the coaching staff.
And a very tough schedule, too.
And a tough schedule. And
particularly with the defenses they're playing.
And I'm not saying that, listen, Bones is an excellent coach. And there are some other coaches on that coaching staff that are really good coaches. But we know this staff ain't going to be the staff that goes into next season. We know that. At least not all of them. There may be a few that do retain their jobs with the next coaching staff. But we look at all of this stuff and we're pointing at all these things that are wrong, but then we don't want to we don't want to be patient. Not to say that you can't critique Cam, but it's like, oh, he can't make it. He's a bust. He's a bum. They made a mistake. After 14 games, y'all were asking everybody to be patient with Will Levis into his second year. And now y'all ready to throw Cam out after 13, 14 games, 15 games?
It's hard when you're watching week after week.
And I know he was the number one pick.
Right.
I know he was the number one pick in the draft. I get that part.
Expectations are higher from the start. I think we have to also keep in mind, your central question was what? Adam, go back to Mike Herndon's tweet.
I've got to find it. Now I
will paraphrase.
Chicago.
Denver, Chicago, New England.
Mm-hmm.
They hired the right coach, and you can turn it around quick.
Yes.
But let's keep in mind, Chicago got it wrong several times with Justin Fields, with the different coaches, with Mitch Trubisky. They had a lot of struggles before they have it right for now this year, even though they have been fortunate with their schedule, with how things have fallen. They have not been a dominant team, but it looks good right now. Go ahead.
Here's the post from Mike Herndon of PaulKaharski.com, whose work I greatly admire. Quote, the Broncos, Bears, and Patriots seasons should be pretty inspirational for Titans fans. Those teams were where the Titans are now very recently. They went out and hired good coaches and have turned things around very quickly. It doesn't have to be a 4 to 5 year thing.
But it realistically, it has been for the Broncos, who had not made the playoffs from the time they won the Super Bowl 10 years ago. They beat Cam Newton. Remember that team? Great defense, Von Miller, those guys. The very, very end of Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
they didn't make the playoffs until last year. So they had a lot of trials and tribulations.
They missed the playoffs every year from 2016 to 2023.
New England,
8 straight years.
New England, the same
New England
way.
got it wrong with Mac Jones before they're getting it right now with Drake May and Mike Vrabel. Does the coach have a lot to do with that? No doubt about it. The right coach is there. But I'm just illustrating how hard it is sometimes. It's not easy to say, just hire the right coach. Everything's going to be all right. Everything has to fall into place. You have to draft well. You have to have the right guy. So I don't know if it's as simple as he's pointing out there.
Let's play the clip again from Bo Nix. So Bo Nix has the Broncos at 12-2. He just had an outstanding game on Sunday for the Denver Broncos, if I am not mistaken, against the Green Bay Packers. Let me pull up his stat line. It was 34-26 Broncos over Packers. Bo Nix, 23 of 34 for 302 yards and 4 touchdowns. Arguably, well, not arguably, most certainly the best game of Bo Nix's young career. But Bo Nix, I would say, is considered by many to be this sort of new age game manager. And game manager, again, I feel is a banned phrase or a dirty phrase for a lot of quarterbacks. They don't want to be referred to as a game manager.
It's a backhanded compliment.
Precisely. Here is what Bo Nix said last week.
It's it's become a negative thing. I don't know why, because the best quarterbacks of all time manage the game at a high level. I think the biggest difference is when the time comes down to it, they just find ways to make either an explosive or make another play. So, all the good ones, all the great ones that win, they manage the game at a high level. Now, some are just more flashy, and I think they don't have that, that context or that tag. But it really doesn't matter because, your job as a quarterback, execute the play that's called, get your team in the end zone, and at the end of the day, have more points than the other team and find a way to win. And that's what we're managing to do.
That was Bo Nix, and I like that answer. I think that was some good perspective from Bo Nix.
Because it's a honest, and I believe it's a truthful answer. If you've watched this league, first and foremost, you got to be able to manage a game. Guys don't make it in this league because they don't know how to figure out they can't figure out how to manage a game, how to just get the easy completions, how to keep your team on a sustained drive. Reading the defense is just throwing it to the weak spot of the defense. That is managing the game. That's doing the things necessary to keep the ball going. That's a manager of the game. And then Bo Nix took it a little bit further. He said those elite guys, those great guys, those guys not only manage it well, but those guys make that play when that play needs to be made. So there's nothing wrong with being a game manager if you're winning games. Look at Jalen Hurts. There are a lot of people that don't consider Jalen Hurts an elite quarterback or a top 5 quarterback, but he's won a Super Bowl and he's been to 2 out of the last 3.
Correct.
And nobody complains about Jalen Hurts.
And a Super Bowl MVP?
And a Super Bowl MVP. So to me, that's a guy that manages the game well. And those guys that they go out and get, the A.J. Browns, the Devontae Smiths, those guys do their job. When the ball come to me, I'm going to catch it and make a play. Just get me the ball. That's all receivers care about. Just get me, what did T.O. say? Give me the damn ball. I don't care who you are. Just get me the ball. That's all you got to do. That's all a quarterback needs to do. Get the guy the ball, methodically move the ball down the field. There were some drives where time wasn't great. He just managed the ball. 5 yards here, 3 yards here, 10 yards here, 5 yards here, 8 yards here. And you turn around and you look at it, and he's at the 5-yard line. And he didn't do anything spectacular. He managed the game. The difference is Tom won Super Bowls too. So he's the GOAT. Cam's not there yet. Bo Nix is not there yet. But what Bo Nix said is true.
One thing I am wondering about, we'll put Bo Nix in this category for the moment. As you said, Derek, there are people who consider Jalen Hurts nothing more than a game manager who has been the beneficiary of an outstanding team around him. But you guys tell me, what are those quarterbacks' superpowers. I mean, Jalen Hurts can what? Squat like 750 pounds,
A million
right?
pounds, yes.
The tush push works because he is strong as hell.
Mhm.
Bo Nix, I'm not exactly sure what his superpower is right now. He can get out on the run, right?
Mhm.
What's Cam Ward's superpower? What can it be? Does he have it within him to find one? You can be a game manager, but as Nick's alluded to there, maybe you have that little something extra that when the situation calls for it, you can rely on that superpower.
I'm gonna tell you what his superpower is at this particular moment. Is improvising, is extending a play, giving his receivers enough time to get open for the third, for a third time or whatever, get open within the scheme of the route. And he allows those guys that when it's not open, they can break their route off and they can find a soft spot. That happens because Cam gives them enough time to do it. And we've seen it week in and week out where Cam sits back there, the rush is there, he gets outside the pocket, he buys time to allow his receivers to get open because obviously they didn't get open at the start of the play. So he has to buy time. That's a superpower that they can enhance. You know who else does that well? I'm not comparing him to him, but you know who else does that well?
Don't say it.
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, you said it.
He does a great job at keeping it going.
You did it now,
but
Derek
Josh
Mason.
Allen does it. Jackson does it. Lamar Jackson does it. But they have more superpowers than just that. And I'm talking about those guys that I named are elite quarterbacks. Okay. Cam has the power of allowing the play to go on a little bit longer while his receivers try to get open. We've seen it week in and week out. Sometimes it's successful. Sometimes it's not, where you got to throw it out of bounds. Sometimes he misses it. Sometimes the receiver drops it. But that is his superpower at this point. Extending a drive or extending a play, I mean.
One texter says, Brian, in your opinion, can the bad habits we're seeing out of Cam Ward this season be coached out of him in the long run?
You hope they are. I'm not going to say that definitively you're going to be able to coach all of those things out of them. I think some of the most important things you're going to have to be able to coach. And it seems like.
And how much of it is up to the coach and how much of it is just up to Cam to evolve and work at it, understand it, and just get better?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think they're, obviously Cam has to put in the work in the offseason. That's why I said, people, I want to see Cam after his full offseason of just ball, nothing else. No comparing for the combine, no interviews, no traveling, doing all this, going to different. I want to see Cam after he has a full offseason of dedication. Then the clock for me starts with him. New coaching staff, a full offseason to dedicate himself to his craft. And let's see then, is he working on those things? I think some of those things, that we have talked about in the past, he either has gotten a little bit better or he's still working on them. And the offseason is going to give him an opportunity to really hone in on them. So number one is up to Cam. But then the coaches are there to help him identify some things and really look at some things that within their scheme helps him.
Dustin in Hopkinsville says, when you say game manager, what do you mean? Not the number one talent, not a quarterback like Caleb Williams, not a Jaden Daniels. We call Tannehill a game manager. He couldn't throw over 170 yards in like 7 playoff games. He threw over 200 yards in 1 playoff game while with us. Okay.
But, Tannehill is a different category, right? He was a trade acquisition midway through his career and a great pickup who overachieved. And to his credit, he's selling him short. He's looking at only the playoff games. There were some regular seasons where
he had to
he
win
really
a game.
did. Yeah, he really did win games for them. He played very, very well. So I don't think it's a fair comparison to.
And he was 7 years in, 8 years in at that point.
Yes, he had a lot of games under his belt. So I think game manager does have a wide array of definitions. And I do think it's like a backhanded compliment. But I think what you're looking for is game manager, but with the ability to make the key plays, the big plays at the key times. I think of guys like Flacco, Jalen Hurts, Right now, Bo Nix looks like he could be that kind of guy. The guy who's capable. He's not going to dominate every week, but he's going to be solid. He's going to manage the game, and he has the ability in that special moment to make the right play.
Phil says, breaking, ESPN reports Derek Mason says Cam Ward is guaranteed to be the next Patrick Mahomes. You got to be careful.
Oh my God!
Can I say this?
I'm at an age right now. I don't give a damn. I really don't. I mean, listen. If you want to take my words out of context, please go ahead.
I'm actually sort of glad. And look, I'm not happy that Patrick Mahomes suffered a torn ACL and needed surgery. That's terrible. But part of me is kind of glad that he is not going to be playing in this game on Sunday, because if he did, we would be getting a lot of people said Cam Ward was going to be like Patrick Mahomes. I saw Patrick Mahomes out there against Cam Ward. They didn't look anything alike.
But I think what people are missing, like, because whether it was Louis Riddick or some of these other guys, they never said, and I'm gonna repeat this, they never said he was going to be Patrick Mahomes. They said he had some traits of a Patrick Mahomes. How can you take he has some traits to him being, they said he was going to be Patrick Mahomes? No, I don't think everybody even came close to saying he was going to be Patrick Mahomes. They said when they looked at him, he had some traits of a Patrick Mahomes, how he throws the football, the scram, getting outside the pocket, buying time, those things. Not that he's going to be Patrick Mahomes, but you can have
when you're
traits.
The first pick in the draft, that's where the mind goes.
Skylar,
I get it.
Skylar quickly mentions another number 1 overall pick. Jared Goff is the perfect example of a game manager. Look at all of Goff's weapons. They need to build around Cam Ward with talent.
The Rams felt so much about Jared Goff that they traded him away. And they knew he was a good quarterback. But in their mind, what did they say? We just need a little more.
Yeah, I think to his credit, he continues to improve. Game manager, I think we're giving sort of a progressive view of a game manager, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ideal, if you can't be the superstar guy, which only if 5 teams in a given year have, then you want the high end of the game manager, right? There's game managers that you could use that in here's a backup quarterback. Like, remember back in the day, an older Neil O'Donnell. Great game manager. He can win you a couple of games while Steve McNair is out. That used to be game manager. You're just good enough to get by. But we're talking about like your starting quarterback game manager. There's a difference between okay, average, and he's a game manager, but he's capable of elevating you at a given time in a given moment and winning big games.
615-737-1025. We will bring Trevor Maddich into this conversation. I'm curious to hear what Trevor has to say about this conversation. We will also discuss the results of the Heisman Trophy voting with Trevor Maddich. 615-737-1025. We are presented by Bax Homeworks. Remodeling done right. Get a free estimate now at baxhomeworks.com. D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. A reminder, directly after our next guest, you can guess on our trivia question to win Music City Bowl tickets. But we'll get to that in just a moment. Let's welcome in our friend Trevor Maddich on our phone line. He is brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. So, Trevor, we have been discussing so far in this program, we are looking at some of the top teams in the NFL this season, specifically the Denver Broncos, the New England Patriots, the Chicago Bears. You can even throw the Jacksonville Jaguars in there as well. And a common denominator for all of those teams is the fact that they have recently made coaching changes that have apparently worked so well that the Bears and the Patriots, for example, who were two of the worst teams in the NFL last season, are suddenly competing for the top seeds in their respective conferences. So let me ask you the question we've been debating. Is a Titans turnaround as simple as hiring the right coach?
It is as simple as hiring the right coach combined with the front office to bring in the right players. And so it is as simple as the right people, but I would say people, plural. And so, when you look at how the Patriots did it, I mean, they drafted Drake May high, quarterback, and his QBR last year was about 55 or so. Well, that's gone up about 16 points this year. And when you look at how they've done it, one way is that with Mike Vrabel, their new coach, their defense is much better this year than it was last year. But they also brought in their leading receiver, Stephon Diggs, wasn't with the team last year. He came in for 2025, and Travion Henderson is their leading rusher for the Patriots, and he was drafted in the second round in 2025. And so it's a matter, in the case of the Patriots with Vrabel, of improving the defense and bringing in that running back, bringing in that receiver to support the highly drafted quarterback in his second year. And really in Chicago, it's kind of similar. I mean, very quietly this year, Chicago is second in the NFL in rushing. And DeAndre Swift, their leading rusher, came in last year to support their draft choice, Caleb Williams, a quarterback. And they also drafted Roma Dunze last year, a wide receiver, and he's their leading receiver. And so they improved in key core areas, both the Bears and the Patriots, but they also supported their young quarterback so that in the second year, that young quarterback had playmakers around him. And I think that is the formula that the Titans will have to follow. And so, bringing in the right coach is important. Clearly, Ben Johnson for the Bears was the offensive coordinator last year and last several years for the Detroit Lions, one of the best offenses in the league. But it's the opposite. The Patriots didn't bring in an offensive-minded head coach to help their quarterback, Drake May. They brought in a defensive-minded head coach in Mike Vrabel. So the style is less important than the guy and how that guy insists that the support come in around that quarterback in terms of playmakers. And right now for the Titans, Tony Pollard, I think is one of the most underappreciated running backs in the NFL. He's really come on the last couple of games because they've given him the ball the last couple of games. But the receiving core for Tennessee is not nearly what the Bears and the Patriots have surrounded their young quarterbacks with. And that really is the next step for developing Cam Ward.
Trevor, what do you make of the label game manager for a quarterback? Willie used the correct word, I think, to describe, or correct phrase to describe what a lot of people think of when they hear the word or phrase game manager, a backhanded compliment. But we were talking about Bo Nix, and Bo Nix has a reputation, I would say, early in his NFL career of being a quote-unquote game manager, albeit a high-level one. So we all want the elite quarterback, right? We are all hoping that Cam Ward turns into that elite quarterback. But what if Cam Ward's ceiling is a high-level game manager? What would the Titans make of that? What should fans make of that?
I think that would be great. I mean, I think that would be incredible. I mean, if you're one of those playmakers at quarterback, outstanding, good for you. There's very few of those guys in the world. I mean, right now you're looking at guys like Patrick Mahomes when he's healthy, a healthy Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen in Buffalo. There's very few guys that can rise to that level of being actual consistent playmaking quarterbacks at the highest level. But when you look at teams that have won the Super Bowl, you look at the last 10 years, 3 Super Bowls were won by Tom Brady, 3 of them by Patrick Mahomes. Well, I think you can make the case that Mahomes is a playmaker, although he's more of a game manager than people give him credit for. At least he does it at a high level. Brady, I don't think you can make the case that he is a playmaker so much that he is a game manager, and the plays that he made were made because he was able to understand with great intimacy what the defense was trying to do and then take advantage of the weaknesses in that defense. And that means know what the tendencies are so that pre-snap he can look at the situation, down and distance, and all the rest, his personnel group. He sees how the defense is arrayed before the snap. And then after the snap, he sees them transition from the disguise into what their real coverage and real blitz is going to be. And then he knows right away where to go with the ball. Well, that's game managing. That's attacking the defense where the defense is weakest, instead of being a big playmaker where you're so awesome physically that you're going to defeat the defense no matter what they do, right? Now, having said that, any quarterback will need to make plays in situations, right, where it's 3rd and 7 and you have to make that throw and you just have to get it completed, right? Or you have to take off and run and get it done. But overall, if Cam Ward becomes an outstanding game manager, the Titans can win the Super Bowl with that if they surround him with enough players to distribute the ball to that can then be the actual playmakers, the ones that actually go out and become the superstars. If he distributes correctly and well and consistently and protects the ball, then the Titans can go as high as the other skill people can take them.
We'll talk with Trevor Matich, ESPN analyst. Now, Trevor, over the last 2 weeks, the Titans run game, you mentioned them being able to run the football, but the Titans run game has been a boost for them. What are you seeing in that offensive line that is causing this? Because last week it was Seattle and they got a really good defense. This past week it was San Francisco, not as good defensive front as Seattle, but the Titans were still able to run the ball effectively.
Yeah, they were. I mean, you look at those last 2 games, those were the only 2 games of the season that Tony Pollard, the Titans running back, went over 100 yards on the ground. I mean, it was 161 at Cleveland in freezing weather, and I thought that was a phenomenal performance. And then San Francisco, he only ran it 14 times, but he was over 100 yards, and he averaged 7.5 yards per carry against San Francisco. And so I think the big difference is that they just decided to commit to it, really. I think that was the difference. This offensive line gets a lot of grief. The part of the problem, though, is that it makes it harder for them to look good when they fall behind so fast that they have to go into throw the ball down the field mode so early that teams just pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. If the offense were more balanced over the course of the season, if the defense were able to slow down opponents' offenses early in games so that the game stayed closer for longer, I think this offensive line would look better than it kind of has over the course of the season. It's not perfect, but I think going forward, you've got a fantastic nucleus on the offensive line. I mean, you've got an 11th pick in the draft at left guard in Peter Skoronski, who now is playing like one of the best guards in the NFL. I think that the 7th pick, I think he was, J.C. Latham at right tackle now. I think that a couple of years under his belt at right tackle, which is where he should have been all along, he will end up being one of the best tackles in the NFL. You've got one of the best young centers in Cushenberry, as long as he's healthy and he's able to come back fully healthy. You've got a nucleus of an offensive line that should be performing much better than it looks like because of the overall ineptitude of the Titans offense in being able to sustain drives and score touchdowns. I mean, I think only the Raiders have fewer touchdowns scored than the Titans this year. So, they're not able to score, and that makes the offensive line look bad for a variety of reasons. But overall, I think that they're in pretty good shape, and we saw what they were able to do the last 2 weeks where they won a 1-score game against Cleveland by committing to the run, and they lost a 1-score game, or not a 1-score game, a 2-score game at San Francisco, but still ran the ball better than they had in most games on the season. And I think committing to it is one of the big things. I think it shows us that this offensive line and this running game in general actually has a lot more potential than we've seen most games this year.
I meant to say Cleveland and not Seattle. So I'm sorry about that, Trevor.
Yeah, that was the one-score game. That's why I looked at that. Yeah.
We're talking to Trevor Maddox. Trevor, of course, covers college football for ESPN. We love getting his perspective on the Titans as well. Trevor, were you surprised at the margin in which Fernando Mendoza won the Heisman?
I was because I thought that there were three guys of the four finalists that were worthy of winning it. I thought Jeremiah Love of Notre Dame was also worthy of winning the Heisman. And I thought it would be a lot closer between 1 and 2, certainly. But, Mendoza, I think, had two things going for him. One is that he had that massive late drive against Penn State to win the game. I mean, for those who, just to remind, they were down Indiana to Penn State by 4 points, 24-20, with less than 2 minutes to go. So Indiana gets the ball on their own 20-yard line, and first play is a sack. So now they're on their own 13 with less than 2 minutes to go, and Mendoza rips off 9 straight throws and finishes with a touchdown to Omar Cooper in the back of the end zone, which was one of the prettiest throws and catches we'll see all season long, while 2 defenders were about to hit Mendoza in the face as he drifted backwards, throwing off his back foot. That pinpoint precise throw. It was amazing. And that was one of the things that he had that Diego Pavia, the Vanderbilt quarterback, didn't have necessarily from a standpoint of a highlight. And then the other one, I think, was the Big Ten championship game. This year, the Heisman voters were not allowed to submit their vote until after the championship game. And so they saw on the very first play of the game, Ohio State smash Mendoza. I mean, smash him as he rolled out to the right. And he completed a pass for 9 yards, but he was on the ground on his face after the first play of the game. He got back up and he led his team to a victory over the defending national champs in the Big Ten championship game. And I think those two things were emotional connections of the voter to Mendoza. If I had a vote, and I don't, but if I did, I would have voted for Pavia. Even though he didn't have the splash moments that Mendoza did, I thought what he did overall was more outstanding than what Mendoza did. But Mendoza did have a season that was worthy of the Heisman. I can't say that they got it wrong.
Trevor, you saw Diego's response, right? He knew he made a mistake. Now he's trying to go back and say, I messed up. What advice would you give him as he tries to move forward in his career?
Yeah, well, that mistake, he tweeted out, I guess, an expletive in reference to the Heisman voters.
F all the voters is what he said.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, and it was interesting. I saw Cam Newton, who's a Heisman voter, right, and Heisman winner from Auburn. He was on First Take with Stephen A. And he said, "Hey, Diego, I'm one of those Heisman voters that you just said F to, right?" Yeah. And so I think that offended a lot of people. I think the first thing I would say is it takes years to develop a reputation, a good one, and just a moment to trash it, to destroy it. I would be slow to define Diego Pavia by the appearance of that tweet. It was horrific. It was bad. It was selfish. It was dumb in every way. But I don't want to say, therefore, this is the nature of Diego Pavia, because I don't know that. To me, it seemed like he was a competitor. He saw this as a competition, like almost he was in a wrestling match with Mendoza. And right there in the ceremony, when they were about to announce it, he literally was about to pin Mendoza, he thought, and then bam, there was a reversal and he got pinned, and he jumped up with that kind of an emotion. And it was after that he sent the tweet. Okay, I get that part. But the thing is, the negative things that you do will live far longer than the positive ones. And if I were to give him advice, I would just say that it's a whole lot better to take a breath and try to not do something that you'll have to apologize for to begin with, because it's much easier to avoid a problem, any problem, than it is to commit the problem and then have to fix it. And right now, his reputation has taken a massive hit, and it'll take a long time to earn it back.
Trevor Matich has been our guest on D-Mace, Fingan, and Donick. He joins us every Tuesday, and he is brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters. Trevor, as always, thank you for the insight. We'll catch up next week.
Thanks, guys.
615-737-1025. Okay? If you want Music City Bowl tickets, now is the time. And we are going to do it a little bit differently today. Instead of just being the first caller, I need you to be the first caller with the correct answer to this question. The Tennessee Volunteers, who are playing in the Music City Bowl, are 1-2 all time at the event. Their lone win came against Nebraska, 38-24 in 2016. Who was named the MVP of that game? Be the first person with the correct answer to David Janes at 615-737-1025, and you will win a pair of tickets to the Music City Bowl. Again, the question: Who was the MVP of the 2016 Music City Bowl, which Tennessee won against Nebraska? 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Okay, let's tell you about Loan Pronto. The best financial move you can make this time of the year is lowering your mortgage rate. Right now, Loan Pronto is delivering 4.99% fixed APR, lowest rate in years. And so that means you need to call Loan Pronto right now, find out what your rate is, see if they can beat it, and if you need money from your home's equity to pay off high interest loans that you might have, credit cards, car loans, something like that, then this is a great move. Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan. You can get cash out of your home's equity, pay off those credit cards, skip up to 2 house payments in the process, and then you're going to save hundreds of dollars a month with that better rate. No hard credit pull up front. You probably won't even need an appraisal. Fast, easy cash from your home's equity. Here's the phone number: 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Start that new year by wiping out all that high interest debt and lowering your bills by hundreds or even thousands. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, APR for well-qualified buyers. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. I think David Janes is wrapping up with our Music City Bowl ticket winner. By the way, the correct answer was Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs was the MVP of the 2016 Music City Bowl.
Rocket scientist.
What is he called? The Pastronaut?
Yeah, something above my head.
Yes. Former Tennessee
sounds
Titans.
Educational wise.
Former Tennessee Titans starting quarterback, Josh
Yes, he
Dobbs.
was.
But yes, Josh Dobbs was the MVP of the 2016 Music City Bowl. So congratulations to the winner. We have 3 more pairs of tickets to give away this week. We'll do it tomorrow, we'll do it Thursday, and we'll do it Friday. So if you're looking for a last-minute Christmas gift, be listening from 3 to 6 for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see the Music City Bowl later this month when the Volunteers face off against Illinois. Barry Trotz, Predators GM, will join us at the top of the hour. I'm surprised we didn't mention this off the top of the show, but I suppose welcome to new Predators minority owner, Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Yes, that Nick Saban. That Nick Saban has purchased a minority stake in the Nashville Predators. We will ask Barry Trotz about this. We do happen to have someone on the show who played for Nick Saban. So Derek will be asking Barry Trotz and maybe warning Barry Trotz about some of Nick Saban's.
Exactly. Have you seen the commercials?
If he makes a bad joke, go to Miss Terry and she'll handle him.
Yes.
I am really excited about this and curious on how it's going to work. He's clearly got a lot of respect for Bill Haslam, who is, moving slowly to the forefront of the ownership group. And that's a big reason why Nick Saban is in this. But can we not envision him kind of up in the booth with his arms crossed like a Wayne Gretzky kind of looking over? Just having somebody like that in your organization, that is really intriguing.
The odds per 60 are going to be through the roof now that Nick Saban is a member of the ownership group of the Nashville Predators. We'll talk about that and other things with
Does
Barry
that
Trotz.
mean every player get a Mercedes?
Well, he does own the Mercedes dealership down the street.
Hey.
They'll get kind of good deal.
He's got a couple of dealerships here.
Do we get a flagship station discount?
Exactly. Do we get a discount?
I would hope so.
These are the questions. These are the questions. I'm not sure Barry Trotz will have all these answers at 5, but I am curious just from coach to coach perspective.
Yes.
Barry Trotz's, viewpoint of when you bring a guy like that in. It's really exciting.
I've always found it interesting when coaches in other sports develop relationships. We know that Clark Lee and Andrew Burnett, for example, have a relationship. There are countless examples throughout sports of coaches from different sports having relationships. So I am curious about it from that aspect, because although hockey and football are incredibly different, the tenets of coaching sports are largely the same. So that'll be interesting to see, but we'll talk about that with Barry Trotz at the top of the hour. Willie, we do want to give you an opportunity to discuss Diego Pavia's reaction to losing the Heisman Trophy. We talked about this after you left the program yesterday. You asked Trevor Maddich about his thoughts on it. We want your thoughts on it.
Well, I wish I was around to hear what Derek said, because I didn't get a chance to hear that. But I think he and I will see this the same way. I always think of Herm Edwards, who I thought is one of the greatest. And he's, speaking of Nick Saban, an incredible amount of respect for Herm Edwards. He had Herm Edwards come speak to his Alabama teams, because Herm, who joined our show weekly for about 2 years here on 102.5 The Game, for people that don't go that far back. So we got to know Herm pretty well. But Herm is the best I've ever seen at putting some of life's greatest lessons into very direct, funny sayings that will always hit your head. And one of them is what? Don't press send. Don't press send.
Advice we can all use.
But once it's out there, no takebacks. And that is the lesson Diego is learning the hard way. I think his greatest strength might be his greatest weakness as well. And I think that guy is going to be very successful in life. And he's going to have a lot of people looking out for him. But he's still young. He's going to be moving into his next phase of life. He's going to take his crack at professional football on some level for as long as it might be. Maybe he'll be the underdog that finds his way to success in pro football. But for success in life, I think this is something he's going to have to learn about himself, right, as he goes forward. How do you channel it, all these great things that he's done, and not have his greatest strength be his downfall, right? And I think
don't do dumb that hurt the team.
Right. I mean, I think he's going to get through this. He's going to pay a price for it, right? And so I think there are people he can talk to that will help him. He's got a great circle of support at Vanderbilt that I think have helped bring him along this far and channel it in the right direction. But this is one that, unfortunately, in 10 years, a lot of people will look back and say, oh, yeah, remember Diego Pavia? He finished like, and what did he do after? And like he'll be remembered for that, and it will cloud all of the amazing things that he's done. Probably not for me, because I watched him every week, but for the people that don't know him as well, are not as familiar with him, he's going to get a label.
I did read a column in USA Today making the case for Diego Pavia to become a professional wrestler. I'm not kidding. That was the angle of the column. Because 1, he has a wrestling background. 2, he can clearly cut a promo. And 3, WWE has a program where collegiate athletes can come in and learn the ropes for, no pun intended. But I digress. I hear what you're saying. Here's what I said yesterday, Willie, and then we'll get Derek's thoughts before we get to Barry Trotz. This is who Diego Pavia has been since we were introduced to Diego Pavia. He shouldn't have done what he did, but the people who liked Diego Pavia before that are still going to like Diego Pavia because that's baked into the experience of liking Diego Pavia. He's going to say things that piss people off, and he is unapologetic about it, except for this instance when he did apologize. But I thought there was a lot of pearl clutching over the weekend about, oh, Diego Pavia, can you believe what he said? What a terrible influence. But I wish he hadn't done it, but it's not out of character for him.
I approached it, Willie, and I told Adam and the listeners, I approached it from a parent standpoint because I love the mentality on the field. I will take that 100 times out of 100. The mentality that he has, the brassness, the you can't beat me, that whole attitude that you need to be that guy. He has it, and it generates throughout the team, and it helps the team. So I love that about him. But I came at it as a parent, like there comes a point where, yes, the name on the front of your jersey means a lot. The institution, I get it. The team, more importantly than the institution, but the name on the back of your jersey means even more. So as a parent, don't do anything that's going to sully that name on the back of your jersey. I understand things happen in the heat of the moment. I get it. You got to learn how to not say the things that you're thinking out loud sometimes. I'm not saying that, hey, he was upset he didn't win. I probably would have been upset too.
And he had a right to be upset.
But you have to channel that in a different way, because Trevor said it right. Like, you built this persona that you built. It's you, and people love it. Now, there's some people that don't. Okay. But I'm talking about on the football field. You built all this goodwill with a lot of people. And I'm not saying that this situation is going to hurt you when it comes to those people, but there are a lot of people, mainly GMs out there, that are looking at that and saying, I'm taking them off my board right now.
I hope it doesn't get to that.
But that's what happens.
Some GMs might look at it and say, I kind of like that a little bit, but to do it, right? It's like you talked about with Notre Dame. It probably felt really good for him to send that tweet. Yeah. Why did you leave me off the ballot? But as soon as he sent it, I'm sure, and started to see, he probably wishes he could have had another minute there to say, got to keep that.
Yeah. Got to keep it with you.
So we'll see where it goes from here, but you learn, you live and you learn.
615-737-1025. Predators GM Barry Trotz will join us coming up next. The Predators are on a roll, having won 7 of their past 10 games. Nick Saban, now a member of the ownership group, We'll talk about all of that with Barry Trotz coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. The Predators won again last night, 5-2 against the St. Louis Blues. Nashville's 7th win in its past 10 games. And to talk about that and more on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com, Predators General Manager Barry Trotz. Hi, Barry. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
We are doing well, thank you. So let's talk about this recent stretch of games. The offense is rolling, averaging nearly 4 goals per game during this stretch. What are you seeing other than the fact that the puck is finally going in the net?
Well, I just think we've been challenged to become, a better team, and a lot of that has to do with, I think the staff and the leadership group being very well prepared, and then secondly, I think. The competition has forced us to become a better team. I think we played Colorado in the last 3 times in the last 2 weeks. And, I like to say they're in the Premier League and we're in the Champions League some nights, but our guys and the staff have played them really well. And that has carried on to, other opponents that we've played. So we've been challenged, and the guys have responded to the challenge quite well.
Barry, you have told us multiple times on this show that you are being open-minded about potential trades and realistic about the team's place in the NHL landscape at the moment. How much, if at all, has this stretch of 7 wins in 10 games altered your perception of how competitive this team can be?
I don't think it's changed my perception. I always thought our team could be a team that can play against the top level teams and hold our own, not necessarily maybe beat those teams, on a consistent basis. But I did feel that we could be competitive and win our share of games. So I probably what you're seeing lately is a little bit more of an uptick to what I thought we would be, because what I see is we're getting really timely saves. I think, let's call it what it is. I think UC Saros has been really backbone. He's made real key saves against some really good teams and key moments. And we've gotten some key scoring at certain times. And when I put this team together, you're seeing some of the things that I was hoping to see. Like one night, Philip Forsberg gets 3. You get the other lines chipping in with 1 or 2, and then next night it's Steven Stamkos getting 4 goals, and you get other markers from your 3rd and 4th line. So getting good goaltending and solid defensive team play with special teams mixed in there. That's sort of what that was always the vision, that we could have some of those guys that if they have a big night, they could carry you, and getting some scoring through the lineup, and then. But it's taken some time, and I think our overall team defense is, our goals against average as a team is not where we want it to be yet, but I see a lot of good signs in that.
Barry Trotz is with us on D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick. Barry, you did make a trade late last week, sending Spencer Stastny to the Edmonton Oilers for a 2027 3rd-round pick. Take us behind the scenes of that trade. How much interest had you received on Stastny, and were you able to extract more value from him than you anticipated?
Yeah, we had some interest in him. I would say it was probably quite early, that we've made a trade with Spence, but there was some interest, and I think everybody was sort of gauging the market, since Thanksgiving a little bit, and we looked at it, and we put a value on a couple people. If we got that value, we were going to move that asset because it was a area of strength being on defense. We got a 3rd round. That is the value that we really thought we could get, and if we got it, we would move it, and we did. So what that does is we've carried 8 defensemen, and you always hear me say you never have enough defensemen, but we feel that we have enough in the system right now that we could move one. What that allows us to do with a 23-man roster is allow us to get to some of those forwards that we have. I want to see Zach LaRue. I want to see Kemmel back up here. I want to see O'Hara, Edstrom. I want to have the ability to do that. And with 8 defensemen, I just felt that it was tougher to get to those guys because of the 23-man roster. By going to more traditional, carrying 7 defensemen and maybe 13 forwards, you're able to get to almost every player on the roster now.
We'll talk with Barry Trotz, Nashville Predators GM. Now, Barry, what are you seeing in the young guys, Matthew Wood and Evangelista? Because in this process of you guys, winning games, they played a key role in it, especially the last 5 games.
They absolutely have, and that's sort of what you want to see is your young guys. I mean, I talked about the blend having, the veteran guys support the young guys. A great example of it is, Steven Stamkos is having really good success playing with 2 younger guys in Svechkov and Wood, and in particular Wood and Stamkos have a little bit of chemistry. That's what I was hoping to see, and I think Steven is he's a Hall of Famer. He's a great leader, and having Matthew Wood play alongside him, same with Svechkov, it really helps in their development. And with Luke Evangelista, I was saying during the stretch, the line of Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Evangelista looks very similar to the line that had a real good year for us was Forsberg, O'Reilly, and Nyquist. And I think with Luke, you see his skating has just got a little bit better, and that's time. That's the commitment he put into the summer, and now he's getting some chemistry and some confidence in his game with 2 excellent players in Forsberg and O'Reilly. So that line's been really good. So I just think as we get a stretch that we're continuing to fight through, like a team like Colorado has made us play with a lot more pace, has forced us to execute at a higher level, and probably concentrate on the details of the game at a higher level because of the fact that those teams are so strong. And it's carried into other games against other opponents.
Now, have you got a chance, because you guys just made a big announcement with adding Nick Saban, who was my coach in college, as part of the managerial team. Have you got a chance to talk to him since that's been announced?
No, not since it's been announced. We rolled in about 3:00 last night after the game. Our plane was delayed, so no, I have not talked to Nick, but I have talked to Nick in previous times where he's been over to the Bridgestone, and he talked to our players during training camp. It's so wonderful that we have Bill Haslam as an owner, and you're able to add people. We got wonderful ownership, and then you add people like Nick Saban and people to the organization. I mean, I listen to Nick Saban. I mean, he's such a great speaker when it comes to what you look in a player, the process that you go through, his beliefs. I mean, those are beliefs that there's a lot of things that would overlap into hockey from the football field, and especially when it's regarding the athlete. Mm-hmm. The game's a little different, and the process to get a player to, I'll say, to the NFL versus the NHL, there's some similarities, but there's some differences too. So, but he'll be a wealth of knowledge because he's gone through. He's got just a wealth of experience when it comes to dealing with athletes and creating culture.
And I guess that's what my next question was going to be. How much of what he's learned and what he knows from a football aspect relates or is transferable, say, to, how you want to build a team and how you look at a team?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things. We spent some time talking about that. Nick actually spent time with the Andrew Burnett and his coaching staff talking coaching and beliefs, and he was so kind with his time that you come out of those meetings and you have an understanding of what successful people do and why they do it. And there's a certain standard that you hold people to do. How you deliver the message is always a little bit different. I mean, I think, I listen to so many great coaches, and Nick being one of them. A lot of the messages I had and learned from Nick or from other coaches, you believe in them and you implement them, but you probably implement them with your own style, because you've got to always be yourself. I think players can read through that if you're trying to be someone else. So I think from that standpoint, there's so much that is transferable when it comes to you always hear Nick talk about the process to becoming a good athlete, a process, and the things that are required to become not only a top athlete, but an elite athlete, and then the process to become a good teammate, and then becoming a good team. There's certain processes that you have to go through and have to, nothing's ever smooth. And so the message has to be consistent. And that's one thing that I think that I've seen Nick do over his time at Alabama in particular, that you want our coaches in our organization to do the same things, that have a very consistent message and deliver what we're saying.
We're talking to Barry Trotz, Predators general manager, on the heels of the announcement this afternoon that Nick Saban is closing on the purchase of a minority stake in the Nashville Predators. So, of course, Barry, D-Mace is always going to be available to you as a resource for the insights of how Nick Saban ticks, what makes him tick. So
I will say just go to class, but you're not in school anymore, right. So it's not just go to class.
Some of it doesn't translate, I guess. Some of it doesn't translate. But Barry, it sounds like he's interested in, he's a sports guy, right? This will probably be fun for him. And so he's a resource for you. I guess we're all trying to envision how much he wants to be involved. Like, I don't think he's going to be sitting on the bench next to Andrew Burnett, but I do wonder what kind of level he wants to be on.
Yeah, I don't know that. I can't answer that. I think that's probably the conversations that Bill Haslam and the ownership group and all that being involved. I can tell you this, when Nick said that he'd make himself available to our staff and all that when he was in town in the fall. I mean, everybody was excited to talk coaching, just to talk philosophy. I mean, that's how you get better. If you can pick the brains of some of the best people in the coaching level, the elite of the elite, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's in sports or if it's in music or in entertainment or anything, you hopefully can take something away that makes you better as a person, better as a coach, better as a leader, if you will. So, I think that's probably a question for Nick and Bill and our ownership. But I'm really excited to have Nick Saban's name associated with the Nashville Predators, because when you think Nick Saban, you think winning.
Barry, another thing I think about as I watch is what's the next level for this team? And you mentioned UC Saros is starting to play his best hockey of the season. Philip Forsberg's had a couple of dominating games here recently. Roman Josi, of course, we saw what happened to the team when he was out. Just him being back has made a big difference. But I still think there's another level to his game. How close do you think he is to getting back to that dominating level that we've seen?
Well, I can say this. I'm hoping that he can do that. But what Roman has done is just, you look at our record with Roman and without Roman, it's vastly different. But Roman is an elite defenseman. He still is. I think as he's getting older, seeing him being a little more calculated in some of the things that he does will probably be his evolution. His father time will kick in at some point, but he's just a steadying influence. He's a good leader. He's one heck of a hockey player, as we know. and we are a better team with them. And Roman is, as I say, he's a consummate pro night in and night out.
We've got time for one more here, Barry. I'm just curious. This is just from outside perspective. But what was your reaction when you see just an absolute blockbuster trade like we saw the other day with Quinn Hughes coming into the Central Division and a trade between two Western Conference rivals?
The first thing is, wow. I mean, it's great. It's great to see that. As much as I'm in the business, I'm a fan of the business. To see a trade like that is also really refreshing. You see the direction of and the commitment of Vancouver. They obviously knew that the re-signing of Quinn Hughes was probably not in the cards, and so they had to forge a direction that was very, very distinct, if you will. And but on the other side, you see the commitment and the assets that went the other way. Obviously, Billy Guerin feels that this will put him in a position to maybe go over the top a little bit. But there is a lot of assets going the other way. With that being said, the best player right now is Quinn Hughes. Anytime you're moving a star player like Quinn Hughes, you win the trade. You're going to win the trade immediately. You see it all the time. You win it immediately because the assets that go the other way are usually on the futures, if you will. Obviously, they give up, former first-round picks and a first-round pick, and as well as a young defenseman that they feel that is maybe the closest thing to replace Hughes in the future. And if they hit it right, if Vancouver hit it right, they may win the trade and down the road. But I think both teams won in this one because Vancouver really got a big haul for Quinn Hughes, and Quinn Hughes is one of the top defensemen in the National Hockey League. He's one of those game-changing type guys that goes into Minnesota's lineup. So, I look back in time of some of the trades that have been made. Nieuwendyk, for instance, went to a trade for Jerome McGinley. At the time, Nieuwendyk goes to
Dallas. Yeah,
Dallas wins a cup, and so they won the trade. But then you look 4 or 5 years down the road from that, Jerome McGinley is a premier power forward and the face of the Calgary franchise for a long time. So these trades, when you make them, they go both ways, but always you have to separate them, and the only way you separate them is time, and then evaluate them down the road. Because right now, if you look at it, the best player went to Minnesota. The future's best player we'll have to see how far or how high that ceiling hits in return. So, but I think it was a hell of a trade by both general managers. And it's exciting for the league. I mean, you talk about the Central Division, which is our division. You got Colorado, you got Dallas, and you got Minnesota. And if you count up their wins and losses and their records between those three teams, I mean, it's astounding. It's like 75-20, in terms of wins and losses just in our division. So that's the competition going ahead of us for the next number of years. So we're going to have to build a team that is very sustainable to play against them. I look at it as where we are with a number of young players that we have coming. It almost feels like we're in that old division where we played Detroit a whole bunch of times and they just kept making us better. And then, in time we passed them. So the best teacher is good hockey teams, and there's a lot in the Central Division.
Predators GM Barry Trotz has been our guest on D-Mays, Vingen, and Donick. He joins us every week during hockey season. Barry, as always, thank you so much for your time. We'll catch up next week.
All right. Take care, guys.
615-737-1025. We'll react to what Barry Trotz had to say. Coming up next, you can as well at 615-737-1025. We are presented by Bax Homeworks. Financing options are available to make your remodel easier than you think with Bax Homeworks. Get a free estimate now at baxhomeworks.com.
Okay, it's time to talk F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Friday at 5:45 will be our next Take It to the Bank, where we make our fun predictions for the weekend. F&M Bank wants you to know for 2026, they've got the mantra. If your New Year's resolution or something like that is, you know what, I just want to get my finances on better ground. I want to have a better understanding. I want to simplify things. I need somebody to help me. That's what F&M Bank strives to do. That is what they do every day. Banking made easy on purpose. That's their mantra. They want to take the burden off your shoulders. They want you to know that you've got a contact in your hometown, close by, in your backyard. If you live in Springfield, if you live in Mount Juliet, Murfreesboro, West End Avenue in Nashville, Clarksville, they've got locations right there for you. They want to be part of your community. Your business means more to them. So find the nearest location to you. myfmbank.com is the website. That's myfmbank.com. Banking made easy on purpose. Get your finances in better shape with a relationship with F&M Bank. We'll take it to the bank Friday at 5:45. F&M Bank, member FDIC.
D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Always a pleasure to be joined by Barry Trotz.
Yes.
I am interested in how involved Nick Saban ultimately is. So, in case you missed the news earlier today, Nick Saban has purchased a minority stake in the Nashville Predators. It is unclear how much he purchased of the Nashville Predators. In the news release, there isn't he owns 5% of the team, something like that, right? And look, Nick Saban's got a lot of other things to do, especially during football season. But I am curious to see his involvement in the organization. Skyler says, ask Trotz if he can get Nick Saban to give the Titans some tips. Well, I think Nick Saban's going to be busy with the Predators.
Yeah. Too bad, Titans.
Right. But Derek, you talked about it with Barry Trotz. Of course, you were coached by Nick Saban. Even having him around in some capacity, even if it's limited, it would be interesting to see how much he wants to be involved, how hands-on he wants to be.
Yeah, I think a guy that has accomplished what he's accomplished in the field of athletics, and I'm not talking about stuff off the field, but I'm just saying the field of athletics, it brings a certain cachet when you walk into a place. And I'm sure if he's around, the facility or during the games, I would tend to believe it does, mean something or does bring some type of energy. Barry even talked about it. The coaches were excited to sort of pick his brain about certain things when it comes to the aspect of coaching, how to build a winning organization, stuff like that, to be a winner, how to develop your players. So all these things are nuggets. And listen, again, you have, in my mind, the greatest college coach ever now a part of your organization. You need to be picking his brain any chance you can get. If he's allowed that to happen, then you need to take advantage of it, especially with the Predators being in the situation that they're in as an organization.
I think these are fun questions just to look at. You love having a resource in there. I think Nick Saban is smart enough to know he's not going to come in there saying this is how you run a hockey team. But I think there's some great, as Barry Trotz said, there's some great parallels of just process, team building, organization building that could be really valuable perspective, just as, thinking outside the box, getting outside perspective where you're in your own hockey bubble for all these years, and just getting expertise from the outside could be really helpful on the right level. And I think you're right, Adam. I would tend to think that it's not a huge percentage that he's buying into, but he's going to be on the team. And so there's a lot of people on the team, right? Bill Haslam is going to be at the forefront, but there's still a great group of people, a lot of which are responsible for really saving the team. Like, I don't think we would have a team if it weren't for a lot of these guys on the ownership group roster that really stepped up for the city when it looked like the team might be gone. And not a lot of those guys are in the limelight, right? You don't hear them coming in every day saying, yeah, I was talking to Barry Trotz, or I was over there talking to Philip Forsberg. But Nick Saban is so unique. I'm just curious, how do you try to use that? Like, he's part of the group. How do you use it? What does he want to do?
Well, one texter suggests that Nick Saban could take over for Paul McCann and do the PA announcing. Can you imagine Nick Saban as a PA
Wait a minute,
announcer?
you can't do that to Paul.
No.
We got to have Paul.
Predators
Paul.
goal. Predators goal
Paul.
4-5. Number 9, Philip Forsberg. I can't do a good Nick Saban impression. I'll have to work on it.
I mean, could he at least be in a couple of the commercials like he is when he says, "Hey, check-in times at 6:00. It's 5:55." Well, yeah, I mean, it's just
have your butt in the seat. He could take over for me. Have
this
your butt in the seat.
This isn't a spa.
Make sure you're sitting down.
Let's talk about how the Predators are playing on the ice here for a few minutes. A 5-2 win in St. Louis last night. Philip Forsberg with a hat trick. The Predators are rolling. They've won 7 out of 10. They are on the periphery of the Western Conference wild card race. As we have stated and stated and stated again, the Predators have a long way to go to truly be in the mix. I looked this up today just for kicks and giggles. I went to my friends at SportLogic. I looked at the Predators' playoff odds on the morning of November 26th, which was the day that the 7-3-0 stretch started. That morning, their playoff odds were 0.7%. Today, this morning, 5.7%.
Wow, yes.
So they've gained 5 percentage points.
I don't look at that yet. I think after about 55 or 60 games, I think that number becomes much more significant.
I think my point though, I understand what you're saying. My point is, I was just adding some context to the fact that they've won so much lately because of the hole they dug for themselves early on. Winning 7 out of 10 barely made a dent in their long-term prospects.
And that is very legitimate. I think you have to see it for another few weeks. And that's their mantra right now is win the week. They know they don't have to win every game. But if you sit there and say, well, we got to win every game, you may not play as well. I think it's just putting together steady, consistent play and see where you're at in a few more weeks. But I think what you calculated last week, Adam, I don't think you and I were on the air together to really hit on it. But what would you have to do to get to around 90 points? Because this year, it may be, because of where we sit right now, it's entirely possible that it may not take what it takes some years, 95, 96 points to get the last playoff spot. You may only need 89 or 90 by some projections, and that doesn't mean those projections are right. That could change, right? But you have to say, what's realistic? Can this team play at like a 550 or 575 point percentage clip from here to the end of the season and be realistic? That's what you have to try to find out, and you've got some time. Derek was asking off the air, what's your time frame? So the Olympic break is early February, and that's a month before the trade deadline. I think where you are at that time is critical, right? You can't be 5 or 6 points out where they are right now then and still think you have a great chance, because that 5.7 will go back down to 1 or 2. But if you're within 1 or 2 points by then it's a different discussion.
And one thing to note about how the Predators have been playing lately is they are shooting the lights out. They have scored 39 goals over the past 10 games. That's easy math. That's 3.9 goals per game. It's pretty damn good. Is it sustainable? I don't know.
No, they're not. But it's correcting. Should they have been scoring 2.3? No. So the real team, I think, is somewhere in the middle. Yeah,
is somewhere in the middle.
Can they average 3? That's the question. Can they average 3.1? That's really what the answer needs to be.
For context, from the beginning of last season through the loss to the Panthers, the 8-3 loss to the Panthers before this stretch started, that's 104 games. The Predators shot 8.7%. That's bad. Over the past 10 games, the Predators are shooting 14%. That's good and unsustainable. So to Willie's point, can they fall somewhere in the middle, in the 10-11% range shooting-wise? And is that enough to truly get them back in the mix? Because to get to 90 points from a points percentage standpoint, I think they are going to have to play like a top 10 to 12 team in the NHL over the course of the rest of the season to truly have a chance to even be in the playoff conversation at the end of the season. That's asking a lot. And that just goes to show you how far down they were before this stretch started.
And the real team will, I think, emerge. I do think they were not only, when you said the shooting percentage is bad, it's bad and unlucky. And now, right now, I think they're playing good hockey and they're getting a few more bounces, maybe a few more breaks as well. But that's kind of hockey. I think there's some teams right now that are probably punching above their weight that the Predators would have to catch. And there's probably some teams that, let's take the Jets. They've got Connor Hellebuck back now. He elevates everybody. If he can do that again, you got to find a way to get ahead of the Jets. You're not too far from them, but you've got to catch them. You've got to catch a lot of teams. But I asked myself, that's why I think I asked about Roman Yossi. Like, where can the Predators become the team that you're saying that they have to be? That it's not, we're all saying it, right? For them to be a better team than they've been, they need Roman Yossi to get closer to the dominant force that he's been over the years. And he hasn't been that yet this year. He's been better. Having him in there is a huge help. And he's been steady, but he hasn't dominated yet. Can Philip Forsberg build on this goal stretch? Can Stamkos continue to be a force? Because these are the questions they have to ask. I think they were ready to say, no, none of this is happening. But I think right now what I'm seeing is a team that sort of believes right now in their formula. They're playing much, much better. The analytics are falling into line. And so if they can get great play from UC Saros, which is always a game changer, right? He can elevate them if he can continue to play this way. Who knows? It's still a long shot, right? And we have to be realistic about that. But there's still time to figure it out.
615-737-1025 will take your thoughts on the Predators, who are back in action tomorrow night against the Carolina Hurricanes. Puck drop at 7, pregame at 6 right here on 1025 The Game. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. I don't mean to alarm anybody, but Lipscomb is beating Duke at Cameron Indoor Stadium right now. 5 minutes left in the first half. 35-31 Lipscomb.
Let's go, Lipscomb.
Don't like that. Don't like that.
Let me hush.
Are you worried?
Let me hush.
Have you met me? I'm worried.
Yes, he's worried.
I'm worried all the time.
Oh, by the way, Vandy beat by how much, Willie?
44. 105-61.
Wow.
If it makes you
Gotta
feel
watch out
better,
for the
Derek,
doors.
your Spartans are up 20-6 on Toledo right
Oh,
now
my
for what it's worth.
goodness. Yeah, they needed to play better because they darn near lost this weekend versus Penn State.
Tomorrow, Vanderbilt at Memphis. Intriguing in-state matchup. Memphis has had their way with the doors over the years. So good road test for 10-0 Vanderbilt, ranked 11th in the Ken Palm. I am very intrigued by this Vanderbilt team. We need to talk some hoops here in the coming weeks as it plays. I think it's fun. Kind of all three of us have teams that we like that are pretty good. David, what do you think of Memphis?
We don't need to talk about Memphis right now. They
I
need a lot of work. They have a lot of work to do.
They'll be jacked up to have Vanderbilt coming into the
no,
house.
they
That
will.
will be a good game.
The difference in this game so far for Lipscomb, Duke 15 turnovers, Lipscomb 19 points off of those 15
That'll
turnovers. 19-5 points off turnovers in favor of the Bisons with an S.
Yes, Bisons.
But Lipscomb up on Duke at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Nope. You
got a whole another half. Don't worry about it. You got a whole.
It's just the first half, yeah.
Yeah, just know and understand.
That's what they all say.
Vandy beat him by 45.
Was it
50?
Remember that. That's
44.
just little
44.
point.
He said 50.
44.
I think it was 50.
Well, you know what? Let's talk
I
about.
think at one point they were up 60.
Okay. Can we talk about something else? I mean, this is my fault. I brought it up. But
We'll take a team.
Let's talk about something else for a moment. I'm wondering if the Tennessee Titans might be able to do something on Sunday that they haven't done in more than a calendar year. And that's win a damn home game, because they've got the Chiefs coming into town on Sunday. Of course, no Patrick Mahomes. He underwent knee surgery yesterday. He's out for the remainder of the season. The Chiefs have already been eliminated from the postseason. They will miss the playoffs for the first time since 2014. And I actually saw a story, I believe it was on Pro Football Talk, that the line on this game moved 8 points towards the Titans after the news of Patrick Mahomes. It was an 11.5-point spread, and then it was a 3.5-point spread in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm wondering, can the Titans finally get off the schneid? Now, I believe they put their entire safety room on injured reserve today. And Gardner Minshew, who will be starting at quarterback for the Chiefs, 4-2 against the Titans in his career. 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Man, they haven't even beat the backup consistently.
So I'm wondering, I mean, there's a lot working against the Titans because they are, of course, the Titans. But I am wondering, the mental state of the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. Again, out of the playoffs for the first time since 2014. 3 games left to play. 3 meaningless games left to play. Now, they've played meaningless games before where they've had the AFC all wrapped up in the final week of the regular season, and then everybody sits out because nobody wants to get hurt. But this is 3 games with nothing to play for because they're going to miss the playoffs. No Patrick Mahomes. I'm wondering, Derek and Willie, about the mental state of the Chiefs and whether the Titans can take advantage of that despite their limitations.
Well, I would tend to think in this situation, the Titans may be able to take advantage of it because when you've had a team that has had so much success, and then now they're virtually out of it, you probably have guys dealing with injuries, maybe a twisted ankle that if they were still in it, he can play. But now they're not in it, we're going to sit them down. So a lot of this stuff come into play, or a guy that thought about getting surgery at the end of the season, but look at it, and I'm talking about one of their marquee players, and look at it like, well, I can do it now and jumpstart my rehab. Okay, we're going to shut him down now. So these are all the things that can affect a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not saying they're going to come in here and lay down, because they're not. But I think because they know that they're completely out of it. There's probably guys that outside of Patrick Mahomes, he's out, but there are other guys that are probably dealing with injuries. Do they shut those guys down, those marquee guys down now, or do they continue to let them play? That's going to be one of the things that I look at, like their inactive sheet, or guys that are on the injury report. How many of those guys now are on the injury report that are guys that may not play in this game outside of Patrick Mahomes? So yeah, the Titans got a shot, but they're dealing with their own set of injuries in the secondary. And you hadn't beat Gardner Minshew but twice.
In 6 tries.
In 6 tries. And the way San Fran looked last week as far as throwing the ball against that secondary, Gardner Minshew can have another big day. And I'm going to emphasize can. Because then again, those guys got a week of practice, a full week of practice. I'm talking about the backups now that are playing for the Titans in the secondary. Maybe they're a little bit better than what they showed last week.
Kevin Winston, Mike Brown, and who am I blanking on right now? Kevin Winston, Mike Brown, and Xavier Woods have all been placed on season-ending injured.
Okay,
reserve.
so what happened to Winston?
Did he? It wasn't was it an ankle? I'm not sure.
He suffered a hamstring injury on Sunday against the 49ers, as did
all
Xavier
of them
Woods.
were hamstrings, wasn't it?
Xavier Woods also suffered a hamstring injury. Mike Brown suffered an ankle injury.
That was the ankle injury.
But they're all done.
2 hamstrings and an ankle.
Ouch.
Shut him down.
I really wish Winston could keep playing, because that's a guy that is
You wanna see
the
more
long
of.
term. I thought was flashing. I was liking what I was seeing. Like, he needs to play those games, but obviously they won't know. It's one thing if you kind of know what you got, shut a guy down for the right reason. And as we talked about, how do you tank in the NFL? Well, so maybe he could play if the playoffs are on the line, but he can't. We're eliminated. Let's just shut him down. What does that do? It has now you hiring 3 safety. Who are the safeties this weekend? Is it the 3 of us? I don't know. Might as well be.
Hey, listen, if Phillip Rivers can come out of retirement, let me do it too.
What did you guys think of that? That was some of the clips from Phillip Rivers. That was it. It did look like a 44-year-old guy.
I wanted him to win so bad.
I don't need to see it again.
I saw it once. I don't need to see it again.
But I mean, they almost beat the Seahawks. That's the number 1 defense in the league. They almost did it.
Just think of how sore he was after the game, like that Monday. Oh my goodness. I know he couldn't walk. I know it.
Yeah, I saw it. It was a cool story. I don't need to see it again, although I believe he is continuing to start.
I want him to win the Super Bowl. I want him to win the Super Bowl. At least go to the Super Bowl, because it's a good story, man. It's a real good story. And he needs that continued.
He needs that health insurance. He needs that health insurance. He absolutely needs that health insurance. So we'll see what happens there. David James has brought to my attention, speaking of the ACC, it's going to roll out a new 9-game conference schedule for the 2026 football season in a modified form. The ACC is calling it a quote-unquote transition year. 12 of its 17 schools will play 9 conference games. The remaining 5 will play just 8, which makes no
it makes no sense. Like, who are those 5 teams that's only going to play 8?
Clemson, Georgia Tech, Florida State, North Carolina, and Boston College will play just 8.
A mess. Wow. It's a mess.
The other teams are like, why we can't play?
These leagues are too big. Goodness. Why are we doing this? Why did they ever do this?
Money.
This marks the 4th different scheduling format for the ACC in the past 4 years.
Become like the Big Ten, stable, okay?
In 2022, the ACC agreed to scrap divisions for the 2023 season. In 2024, Cal, Stanford, and SMU joined the league, forcing the ACC to adjust its annual rivalry games to fit the expanded roster of schools. The new 9-game league schedule will allow for increased flexibility in scheduling and allow schools to face off more frequently.
Man, oh man. One set of teams play 9, the other play. It makes
you don't play half the teams in your league. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
It does not make a lick of sense. Neither does the fact that Lipscomb is still beating Duke with
What's the score?
45-41 with a minute and a half left.
So they've got a shot to lead at the half. That would be huge.
Yes.
Lipscomb has played a lot better. Vanderbilt beat them November the 3rd, opening night.
Okay, Willie.
105 to 61.
Let's remember that opening
Just
night.
throwing that in there. But since then, Lipscomb's played better. They've won 5 in a row. They got a new coach.
He's trying to make you
Kevin
feel
Carroll.
good.
I'm trying to make you feel better,
Yeah,
Adam.
they're not some old, just some old team
Vanderbilt basketball has been playing exceptionally well. Willie, I know you don't like to look at bracketology, especially
I've seen it.
in
I was given it.
In
I didn't go
December,
look it up.
But Joe Lenardi.
I don't want to hear Joe's name right now.
Joe Lenardi.
I don't want to hear it.
It's
not much yet.
Wait, hold on. He had Vanderbilt on the 3 line.
I know.
As an automatic qualifier, which means he thinks Vanderbilt is going to win the SEC.
Oh.
They haven't even played a league game yet.
So what?
Joe is bored. Joe is bored.
Well, if he
Is anybody really looking at this?
I would rather him be bored and pick my team to be bored and not pick my team.
I know. It's just so crazy. He's
Willie
doing
hates
bracketology
Willie
in
hates
December.
it.
To be fair, I believe he does bracketology as soon as the Nets are cut down on the previous national championship.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
The season is young, but it is starting to take shape.
Yeah,
Conference
just
play
ramp
is
it
just a couple of weeks away here.
One texter says, I would probably shut down Chris Jones and tell Travis Kelce to go to Cabo and come back in 6 months. I'm not sure Travis Kelce is coming back. I think this might be the end of the line.
Well,
Yeah,
in this particular week, we were talking about this earlier in the show. When is the last time the Chiefs played a game where they were out of it? It's been over a decade.
Over a decade.
Nobody on that team has been in this position. Like the reality of we are out. It's one thing to be on the outside looking in where it looks bleak, but you still have a chance. They are out. So what will that look like? It's and especially against the Titans, who have trouble winning games. So
hopefully
it could be
like a win for
intriguing
the Titans.
just from that aspect.
Yeah.
And you got the mustache. Is Minshew still wearing a mustache? I assume. Did anybody see him?
I haven't checked.
He's had some good games against the Titans.
Yeah.
But to your point, Derek, Phillip Rivers bought 5 more years of health insurance.
Damn,
for,
how can I
for
do
playing
that?
in one game?
My
Get
knees-
back in there.
My knee's shot, man. My left knee is shot. It's not. It'll hold up.
Just
for one
fair
play.
catch one punt and be done with it.
Yeah, I can do that.
Can you do
Titans, bring me on. I
Can you
get
fair
it.
catch
Yeah,
one
I can
punt?
fair catch.
Okay.
But knowing me, I wouldn't do it, and then I pay for it.
This is my dream that I've come up with. You know how the e-bug concept is out there?
Yes.
Which is evolving.
Emergency backup goalie.
Right. I think baseball, instead of in the major leagues, you have like the left fielder or the third baseman come in there when you're getting blown out to throw eephus pitches just to get the last 3 outs. I think you should have a guy like me all summer long just standing by in the dugout. You know, not in the dugout, but just in the bullpen. And if you need that guy, instead of bringing in the left fielder or the third baseman, I come in and I train, and I try to get the last 3 outs. Now, what would the crowd rather see?
Depending on
Which
what
team
type of
plays.
game.
Well, I mean,
it
the
is.
game's over. The game's over. It's already 15-2 or whatever. It's a blowout.
Okay.
So, what would be more intriguing? I think the e-bug pitcher,
Yeah, I think you would.
the e-bump. You come off the
I
bump.
think you would pass out, Willie. I think you would be so. I think you'd just like pass out. Like,
My strategy would be to throw so slow that they've never seen anything that slow, and have the movement and the location, and I would get them out. I would do it, and the crowd would go nuts, and my team would lose 15-2. And if I gave up like 4 home runs, that's okay. Game's over anyway.
Oh,
And
Maybe we
they
should
think
try
you
that
do
in
the same
minor
let's
thing.
make it happen. Let's make it happen.
I think we should make it happen.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us today. It appears that Duke is leading by 3 at halftime.
Dang it.
So we'll see what
Come on,
happens in the
Bison.
second half. We'll see what happens in the second half. But we will be back tomorrow live from Bridgestone Arena, 3 o'clock. We'll talk to you then.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, wonderful day. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that song. Don't you forget about us, because we definitely won't forget about you. See you tomorrow, 3 p.m. on 102.5 The Game. Peace.